Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all having a great day today. So this is going to be a bit of a shorter class because I want to give you this time to begin to work on your article dissection worksheets. Okay. So I just put into the agenda that we're going to be going over that today as well as housekeeping. So let's first start with some housekeeping. Please do not forget that you have both the PsycINFO video quiz and how to read a scholarly journal article video quiz that are due on Saturday. Please make sure that you complete them before you complete the article dissection worksheets. They are going to be super helpful for you. I would suggest, if you haven't done them already, that you go and you watch them so that way you will have an easier time doing your article dissection worksheets. Your article dissection worksheet is also due by this Saturday. So in the worksheet, it is going to help us to be able to read and understand scholarly journals. Okay. So you are going to be doing 2 article dissection worksheets in total, one for each of your 2 articles that you are going to be doing. So let's take a look for we're going to take a look at that in just a few moments. Also, please remember for week 6, I can't believe we're already into week 6. Next week, you have a discussion that is due. So please do not forget with biopsychology that your discussion post is due by this Monday. So you have a couple of assignments that are due over the next few days. So please, please, please make sure that you are completing them and that you turn them in on time. Also, as a reminder, next Thursday, we will not have class. I will have a video that I will be providing to you that will help to cover additional information about biopsychology. We only have class on Tuesday. We do not have class next Wednesday or next Thursday, rather. Okay. So, any questions before we dive in? Because if not, let's dive into our articles. So I want all of you to get your articles up and available to you. Okay. When you've done that, put a thumbs up in the chat so I know that you have both of your articles ready. All right. Okay. So as we are all getting our articles up, I'm going to share one that I found. So if I were doing this assignment, I would be doing it on body image and sexual self-esteem in people who have elected to have weight loss surgery, otherwise known as, excuse me, bariatric surgery. So I found an article that would help me to look at this because I want to see, um, does bariatric surgery impact how people think about themselves? So here is my first article. So as a review from Tuesday when we met with the librarian, which that video is up and posted if you need to rewatch it. This article is what do you call it? This article is a newer article in that it's within 10 years old. It came out in 2016. It is in the what do you call it? It's in the journal called Anthropology and Medicine. It was published online in 2016, but it was actually physically in paper published in 2017. It's volume 24, number 1, pages 96 to 110. And then you have this DOI number here. That DOI number, as you see, takes you to the actual article itself. And what that DOI number is that it's essentially like a social security number that is unique to you. This is a social security number or a number that is cataloged that is unique for this article. It was printed by a company called Routledge. The title is Not Taking the Easy Way Out, Reframing Bariatric Surgery from Low Effort Weight Loss to Hard Work. It was written by Sarah Trainer, Alexandra Brewis, and Amber Weech. So this gives me some basic information. Remember, we always want to read the abstract first to see, hey, is this an article that I may want to work with? Okay. If you're having trouble finding articles that you may want to work with, if you go to the library page, there is that yellow box on the lower right-hand side of the screen, and there are librarians available. Feel free to reach out to them, and they will work with you to help you find your articles. Okay. Journal articles are typically broken down into several sections. You first have the introduction. The introduction is the background of why the people who are writing this journal, why they are conducting the study that they're studying. Okay. We then go into we go into typically the methods section, right? So this is an example of the method section here. They're doing a specific study. It then goes into the discussion itself. And then it gives you the references. Let me find another study. There are some studies when they have, here we go. When they have an actual research study itself, this might be a better one. They will also have the method section that is clearly outlined. They will then have the results section that is clearly outlined. And then they have the discussion section. So these sections essentially are the introduction is again, the background. The method section lets you know what is actually being researched, like how are they setting up their study. The results are the numerical portion of what the study outcome were, like what those results were. And then the discussion looks at how do we take the results section and relate it back to today. This is probably going to be a better article for us to utilize. So this is changes in desired body shape after bariatric surgery. It's in a journal called Eating Disorders, came out in 2010. It's in volume 18, pages 347 to 354. And then it has a DOI number, as you see right here, okay? So here's the abstract. Abstract continues down there. So this is going to be one that's going to be helpful for us to utilize, because when we look at the article dissection worksheet, it follows the path of the article. So here it is with the introduction. So you're going to discuss the purpose of the study. They typically will have something when you read this that they'll tell you what the purpose is. So the purpose of the present study is to examine over the course of 1 year in a sample of bariatric surgery patients, changes in perceived current body shape, ideal body shape, and the discrepancy of the two. So I might say the purpose of the study is to see how body shape is how body shape changes within the first year of bariatric surgery. What was the reason the researchers wanted to do this study? So they give us a lot of information in the introduction So, and I know this article, I used it for my dissertation when I did my research as a kind of a gap filler. But essentially, many, you read it and then you come up with this in 1 or 2 sentences. So, what was the reason the researchers wanted to do this study? The researchers wanted to do the study because there are people who have bariatric surgery who have a specific body shape and think that after having bariatric surgery, they are going to have a different body shape. So, they wanted to see, is the body shape that they have after weight loss surgery the same as what they had in their mind before they had bariatric surgery? What questions did the researchers seek to answer? So they wanted to find out about, the changes and the possible discrepancies within their body shape. What other information was included to support the researchers' ideas? Specifically, that there have been a lot of studies that have shown that body image has improved within the first year, but there have been also some studies that have shown that people have been dissatisfied. So they wanted to find out what is really going on. Okay. Then you have the method section. They said to describe the participants. Okay. So the participants, there were 57 obese patients. They were utilizing a specific surgery called gastric bypass surgery. It was predominantly female, so 82% female, 18% male. 2/3 were Caucasian, so 68% were Caucasian, 21% African American, 11% Hispanic. The average age for men was 39, give or take 4.3 years. And then they had to have a what do you call it? Their average body mass index was 52.54. So that's who was in my study. What did the researchers ask the participant studies to do? Well, it says here they had to complete the silhouette figure rating scale. And I know this study. So they had to do it before surgery, after surgery, and 1 year after surgery to see how their shape had been or excuse me, they did it at what do you call it? Before surgery and 1 year after. So they wanted to see before surgery, where did they measure, and after surgery, where did they measure? So based on taking that twice. So you summarize that in 4 to 6 sentences in your own words. Then you have the results section. So what did the researchers find? Well, the researchers found that over the course of 1 year, there was a significant decrease in terms of the perceived current and ideal body shape and the discrepancy between the two. So that means that where people started and where they wanted to be wasn't where they actually ended up being. So I would put that down in a few sentences. Did they find answers to their research questions? And you will get that by looking at these, by looking at what the results section say. What else did the researchers find that may be important? That their perception of themselves, they didn't realize how heavy they actually were, and they struggled to find out how heavy they actually were, like still. So even after a year, they thought that they were thinner before they had surgery and that they were thinner than they actually were. That's what the study says. So I would put that down as something that was important. If you didn't find anything that was important, that's okay too. And then you have the discussion and the so what factor. So the discussion section is down here, right? So it asks us, what were some of the strengths of the article? So that's in your words. What did you find to be a strength of the article? Well, this article helped us to understand that when people go to have bariatric surgery, that how they perceive themselves versus where they want to see themselves is not always reflective of where they actually are, which tells us from a psychological perspective that there are still some issues that these people may have, right? What are some weaknesses? So some of the weaknesses of the study, you're typically going to find that. Where would it be? Here we go. It'll tell you usually in the last sentence or in the last paragraph if there's any issues with the with how they were able to gather their information, if there's more, if they didn't have a large enough size, if they needed more people to be a part of the surgery of the study. So that would be something that would be listed in here, but you can also add your own flair to it. So in your own words, how can we use this information? Well, this information is going to be helpful because people typically, when they go to have bariatric surgery, it's just to physically lose weight. We don't talk about the mental or the emotional reactions that happen as a result. So this will hopefully help us to see that we need to start addressing people who have bariatric surgery. We need to start supporting them psychologically as well, because they typically don't, the way that they view themselves is often skewed, and the way that they idealize themselves or how they want to look is often skewed as well. What value does this article have? This is super valuable because it's one of the first times that we start to see, if we look at it chronologically or based on when this article was written, that this is an opportunity for us. It's one of the first opportunities to allow us to understand how important addressing psychologically people who have bariatric surgery, not just physically. So we need to look at the person from a whole person perspective rather than just a physical weight loss perspective. Okay. So that's your article dissection worksheet in a nutshell. So you literally follow along with the article itself, and those headers you then review with the headers here. Okay. So it's about using the article to your advantage to gather the information that you need, in the sense of it's teaching us how to be able to read the articles. It's also giving us that opportunity to reflect upon it without cutting and pasting. Okay. For the purposes of the assignment this week, you only have to submit one article. I'm going to encourage you to submit both if you can. And here's why. You're going to have to do it anyway. And if you're doing one, you might as well do both, because it's going to make the week 10 assignment go by that much easier versus having in week 10 to find your second article and then do all of the additional work. Getting it done now affords me the opportunity to support you in completing your article dissection worksheets and offering feedback. Okay. Not a problem, Vanessa. Don't worry about it. It takes a couple days. So as long as you have the one article to submit for this week, you're good. But that is the research. That's the article dissection worksheet. In addition, when you go to our class page itself, you will see in week 5, when you go to the that there's a number of different handouts. You also have access to the psychology page on the library website. You also have access to the what do you call it? You also have access directly to reaching out to librarians, and how to read a scholarly journal article video reviews this in a different way. So it affords you that opportunity to see in multiple ways. You had on Tuesday, you have today, and you also have through that quiz, different opportunities to learn how to read a scientific journal. So I want you to use our class time to complete either the quizzes and begin your article dissection worksheet, or to begin to complete your article dissection worksheet or sheets if you're going to turn in both of them this week. So I can offer you feedback. You have to do at least one. You turn in both, I'll give you feedback on both. But I want you to use this time to work on the dissection worksheets. I'm going to stop recording this so that way I can be here as a resource and a support.